Worlds is here. Hello guys and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode we will be discussing Worlds and what you need to know for it, specifically in regards to Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. Not going to be discussing other things, we've done that on stream, but we're just going to discuss Master Duel and what you need to know. First and foremost, the format. Worlds is a 3v3 style format where each team of 3 players will play against another team of 3 players. In stage 1, this is a group stage where each group will play everyone else in the group, and then seedings will be determined after that. The top 2 from each group will move on. So if Dream's Future ends up beating every other team, they will be ranked number 1 and will move on to the next part of the event. And then the second place will move on as well, and as is the case with the second the second group as well. In the final tournament, it is semifinals and finals, which is a bracket stage where each team will play another team in a best of I believe it's a best of 9. So the first team to 5 wins will move on from there. It's the same format that is used in the Swiss stage, not Swiss, in the stage 1. And basically, you just play that until finals. Now, what makes this interesting is the actual format itself, which is kind of unique. First and foremost, it is a team format, first and foremost, which means that each team has 3 players. Each player has 2 decks for a total of 6 decks. Now, each one of those decks cannot contain the same cards at all. Well, okay, not at all. They cannot contain any more than 3 copies of a card across all 6 decks. So, for example, DD Crow is a card that some people may play to counter any specific deck, right? If I wanted to play DD Crow in my deck, I would either have the ability to play all 3, and none of my other decks and none of my other teammates' decks could play any, or I could split 1 across 3 separate decks. So either one deck has 3, and all 5 have 0, all 5 others have 0, or we could have 1 across all 3, like 3 decks, or we could have 2 across 1 deck, and another one in another deck, or something of that nature, right? Basically, you can only have 3 of a card across all of your decks, which means each deck has to be unique. There are 3 cards that the entire team can get to share across all 6 decks. Most of the time, this is just going to be Maxi, Ash, and Called By. However, there is some occasions where the 3rd card is something else, but for the most part, it's going to be Maxi, Ash, Called By. Make sense? Makes sense. So those cards will be played at maximum copies across all decks, or at least can be played at max copies across all decks. Coolio. Now, what this means is that every player is basically incentivized to play a unique deck while still playing something that can compete. So, across the 6 decks, we will see 6 different strategies and 6 different decks, which means pretty much you're not going to see many mirror matches, just in general at Worlds. Coolio. Makes sense? Makes sense. Let's actually talk about stage 1 because it's a little bit confusing. So here's how it is ultimately tallied, how it works. First and foremost, it is a round robin format with 6 teams per group. The top 2 teams will advance to the final tournament, as previously mentioned, and the rankings will be done in this way. Total rounds 1, so each match between each team, so one team will play another team of 3 players each. Each one of them will play each other player in that other team. So if I am playing against one team, I will play each one of their players 1 time, and I can switch decks between each player. I will play each one of them. If I win all 3 of my games, I will get 3 points for the team. The first team to 5 total points for that match will win that match. Okay? So, based on number of rounds won, that will be the first deciding factor to get out. After that is individual duels. So, for example, if all of my matches went 5 and 4, and there was another team that won the same amount of rounds that I did, let's say they won 3 rounds, and my team won 3 rounds, but my opponent's teams always won with immediate 9 points won, so they won 3 in a row, then they won the next 3 in a row, and then the next 3 they didn't play because they already won the match. They would get those 3 points immediately, so they get 9 points. If all of their match wins were that way, they would have more points than me, and I would lose and they would win. Yeah? Cool. So that is the most individual duels. So basically, if they have 9 individual duels won, and I only have 5, 9 is greater than 5. Cool. Then it is decided by team leader total duels won. So, if your top player, the leader of the team, ends up winning more than another team's after having individual duels decide, let's say you both have 5 wins in your individual duels, it would then go to the team leader duels. So let's say I'm the team leader and the other team that we need to beat, their team leader got 4 wins. Let's say I got 5, bada bing, bada boom, I get to move on. Coolio. And then the rest basically don't matter because eventually it is just decided by a lottery. But 1 to 3 have all won direct matches against the same team. So basically this means that like in the head-to-head, how does that matchup look? That's more or less what it comes down to. But for the most part, I think we've seen it come down to the team leader, I think once in the 2 worlds. Which is, it's been the same format for both other previous worlds. And we've only seen it come down to team leader once. Most of the time it just goes down to the most individual duels won. Coolio. Makes sense? Makes sense. Now, once we get to the final tournament, it is pretty simple. You play out that same thing all the way until the finals, until someone wins. Fantastic. Now, what do you need to know about the actual teams? What teams to look out for? Now, I could go over each and every one of them, but for the most part, I'm just going to talk about the teams to actually look out for. First and foremost, title holders, Team 7, they are the returning champions. They are the North American representative, or one of them. There are 2 total, and they are a very stacked team. Obviously, they are the World Championship. Jesse Cotton is arguably the greatest player of all time. I think he has the most number of wins just in general across both YCSs and other such like tier 3 style events, just the highest tier of events. He is, I think, the most decorated player. I could be wrong, don't quote me on that. But Ryan Yu is one of the up-and-coming stars for Yu-Gi-Oh! As well. He's a young one, but he is very, very strong of a player and has won quite a few things as well. I think he's won a few ICSs. Don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure he's at least won 1, but there's that. And then he's also won some Duelist Cups as well, which is something of note. And then we have Ray, which is also a phenomenal player, and I believe has also won several YCSs. But again, don't quote me on that. Phenomenal team. They are the title holders. The runner-up from last year has also made it once again with Snipe Hunters. Quantal this time is the leader, but all of these are very notable players. However, the only one that is really of note is Joshua Schmidt. He is a multi-time YCS champion, up there with Jesse Cotton in terms of consistency and number of wins and stuff like that. But this team in particular, what it does is that it is very creative. This team has a lot of unique ideas and tends to play very unique strategies. So we'll see if that allows them to make it to another finals and get another repeat, or another title, because they are the, not last year, but previous year's world champions. While those 2 teams are fairly well known, I think the team most people are going to be rooting for in the OCG is Dreams Future. Now, if you don't know, the Future team has been here every year at Worlds, and it is led mostly by Tatsuku. If you don't know Tatsuku, he is the champion of pretty much like every Duelist Cup. He's always at the top. He is always grinding. He's exceptional. as a player. And the reason for this is because he just sits down and grinds. He's very, very powerful, or just like adept at adapting. He's very smart, great player, and an innovator as well. However, his teammates are not slackers either. Here we have Freedom, or I believe that's how you say his name, and then we have Stellar as well, which were both chosen by Toscu, and both of them are extremely powerful players as well. I couldn't tell you exactly their like qualifications, but I do know that they are both exceptional players, mostly through Master Duel as opposed to something like the OCG, like physical paper play. But even with that being said, they are returning players, and also both world champions previously, Tatsuku and his team, the future team, have made it to the top 4, which is something of note as well. Even though they don't necessarily win, they are very, very good, and they are also very consistent, similar to our other 2 teams. The one other team that I want to make note of is Fala Galera, which is the Brazilian team from LATAM. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because of this guy right here, Jude Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm just going to call him Jude. I think there's another way to say it, but Jude. This person is an incredible player when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh! And has an insane an insane record just across the board. He is Brazilian alongside his 2 teammates, and they are extremely strong. Well, okay, I should say, I know Jude is very strong. I'm not entirely certain on the other 2, but I know Jude is very strong, and at the previous Worlds was like hard carrying his team and almost made it to the top 4, pretty much off of the back of Jude's dueling. And simply put, Jude and Brazil as a whole is a team to look out for. They are so strong as a region, like Brazil as a region is very strong, that they genuinely could be a title candidate. Most people will probably be overlooking them, but I think, genuinely speaking, this is a team to look out for. They did really, really well and got very close to making it out of groups at the previous Worlds, but also they had one of the best records on day 1, which consisted of mostly the group stage. However, last year, group stage was half day 1 and half day 2 as well, so there was more time for them to play on day 2, and they ended up not quite qualifying, but I think they had a really, really stellar record in day 1, and they just couldn't quite close it out. So again, another team that absolutely is a shark in the water. Those are the 4 teams I would say to watch out for. However, all of the other teams are not weak. None of these teams are weak except for the season point winners. I don't know them. No one knows them. They're nobodies. That's not true. They still made it to the Worlds. They're still extremely good duelists, but like, this is the team that I think, or these 2 are the teams that I think are the most underrated. They are probably the least likely to actually make a run for the title, but alas, this is Yu-Gi-Oh! And if you have a hot streak, you can just win it. So, there's that. However, yeah, again, these 2, I think, are probably the most notable to look out for, and there you go. Fala Galera and Dreams Future, look out for those 2. But that's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy it. If you did, I like it very much, so appreciate it, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye.